just the fundamentals page, which I believe.
Alright, I'm just gonna remute that for a second. Alright, good evening, everybody. Just hanging out, doing some JTAC qualifications tonight. So this is it's going to kick off with a lot of talking. Big sort of school portion before we get into it, but it's going to be a little bit about how this whole JTAC thing works. Okay, so while we're just getting everyone set up in the document, just run you guys through what the plan is tonight. So first up, we'll be coming out here, famously TACP Hill, and essentially. Okay. So we'll come out here, and basically the job is to locate and mark up the targets that are present downrange. They are a mix of things which are somewhat easy to spot, and then some things which are less easy to spot. And then from there we will head out towards our live fire AO that you guys saw a little bit of just before. We got 2 armor positions in town, bunch of infantry, usual bits and pieces, just garrison town for us to move through and clear out. And I'll just gonna unmute my TeamSpeak again so you guys can hear what's going on.
Or the ETA, say out all of the numbers, so don't say 45, just say 45. CLS practice, I assume you guys already CLS trained, or you went through the course, right?
Sergeant.
Alright, cool. So the structure of the TACP, I'm pretty sure you're familiar with this already. There's one senior TACP, along with 2 junior TACP, which are basically the 3 JTACs, and then you have the 3 UAV operators. You already pretty much went over this during your UAV course, so I'll just skip that part there. So onto the purpose of the TACP. There are 3 main purposes of the TACP, which are advise, assist, and control. So advise. When applicable, the TACP are to advise the supported commander of targets of opportunity based on the current commander's intent and the current rules of engagement, and any standing restrictions or authorizations. So the supported commander has a final say on employment of assets from the AO. The TACP have a unique perspective of an operation as a primary intel collectors and distributors once in the AO, and this information needs to be related as appropriate to the task force. This includes keeping Blue 4 tracking updated with Op 4 composition, making radio calls about priority targets, and advising the task force commander of any observations about the task force. For example, if the platoon gets spread out too far, one element is at risk of being overrun, and etc.
Take my earplugs out and turn that up a little bit so you guys can hear it.
And deployments of each asset and their respective munition types against various target types. For example, no matter how stationary it is, neither Havoc 4 nor Lancer are unable to kill a BMP, but a smoke mission from Havoc 4 is able to effectively cut off long-range sight lines, allowing friendly elements to maneuver or aviation to ingress. Assist. By being present on the company and company HQ nets, the TACP should remain as informed as the task force commander is. The TACP should leverage this insight to provide the task force with assistance by whatever means it can. Typically, the way we respond provide this assistance is by responding to contact reports with updated intel from aviation assets and/or UAV, providing firing solutions for the task force commander from combined assets, advising the task force commander, and communicating the ground situation to the aviation assets. This can also apply in a combat search and rescue situation where the ground forces responding to a downed pilot will need to be kept advised of the pilot's location and situation, and the pilot informed as to what the plan is and if they're being airlifted out. And finally, the main function of the TACP is to control, and this is done by providing terminal attack control of close air support and deconflict fires. We specifically stress this as a final function due to the nature of supporting assets operating within the framework of the 506. Not every mission will involve lots of control, but every mission will include constant advise and assist. So for load and equipment, I believe Sergeant Hardman already gave you that stuff, so you should be with that right now. But if you ever lose it, there's a paste bin up there that you can just import, or you can go through the list here. You can carry smoke rounds as a note, but they're generally ineffective because the slope terrain likes to mess around with them. You can get pretty accurate with them. I've seen some people get pretty good with them, but it's a little hard to use sometimes, so it's up to you on that one. Alright, so on to Chapter 2, Command and Control. What is close air support? Firstly, close doesn't mean the air support is close to a friendly element, it just means in the same AO. Even if the ground element is 2 kilometers out, it's considered CAS. Not all CAS will involve going kinetic. Even the increased intelligence provided by continual overhead ISR, intelligence, surveillance, and reconnaissance, is a huge advantage to the ground element in completing their objective. So before every operation, there's a few things you want to do before. So you obviously want to attend the platoon briefing when it's called, as well as the aviation briefing. So aviation briefing starts anywhere between 1900 EST and 1930 EST, and will be held in the ready room of the 74th Detachment. I believe you're already familiar with this stuff. Loading in at 2000 EST along with the aviation assets, and you should. The first thing you should do is pull your loadout and set up your radio nets as soon as possible and start to facilitate communications, including radio checks. These runway markings are usually done, I believe, by the aviation assets. Some of them like to mark the runways themselves. Bullseye and IPs and VPs, you should probably put these down if you can in front of the AO, since you will know, you generally have a better understanding of what's happening. You can label all the IPs and you can make some battle points if you want in addition to those IPs. So for example, if you want to put somewhere on a valley or some kind of ingress spot you think you will be using in the future, you can set down a BP and label that as whatever marker you want. IPs are usually just stuck with north, south, west. So just label those out, and they're approximately 8 kilometers or so from the bullseye point. And usually we are the blue team, so whenever you join in into the HQ element, you'll want to push blue, ensuring that your rifle is conditioned correctly. So FTX obviously condition 4 or whatever. And then once you can, try to find the task force commander as soon as possible, and try to ask them what they would like in terms of getting to the AO or any other information that they might have for you. Usually they'll call you, but going up to them will help you facilitate it faster. So once you have everything all set up, it's onto the aircraft and ordnance information. So this is just information about the aircraft, some restrictions and stuff you want to tell the aviation assets. So as a JTAC, you're the liaison between the ground and air, and the only point of contact on the ground. As such, it is of the utmost importance that all aviation elements are aware of the situation on the ground. Information such as friendly movement, task force commander intent, objective updates, and frago should be relayed as soon as possible. So some stuff you want to keep the aviation elements aware of are things such as troops in contact. So obviously when you start taking contact, let them know that you're taking contact. Generally it's a good idea to also give them a little bit more information, such as distance, direction, and all that other stuff. There's types of contact. So when you say troops in contact, you can give them a little more information with visual, so seeing them, direct, engaged, indirect, being in contact with mortar fire, for example, or aircraft. This would be usually from them, obviously, since you are not in an aircraft. So support the commander's intent. At the beginning of the mission, before Usually after the check-in, what you want to do is let all aviation elements know what the task force commander's intent is. So letting them know, for example, if there's any other objectives that weren't listed in the op ord, you want them know, such as HVTs or weapon caches or any kind of other changes to the plan that they may not be aware of. So you should always try to keep this short and brief so that they remember it, and if it ever changes for any reason, make sure they know as soon as possible. So this is just a general chart. This is really a specific chart actually. The general guideline though, for stuff like this, usually you want to say that unguided munitions are danger close within about 400 meters, guided are 200, and then the guns are about 100 meters. If you would like, you can put this down for a little cheat sheet or something in case you actually need it, but generally that rule of thumb, the 400, 200, and 100 are pretty good estimates of how close a DC strike will be. So obviously if it's danger close, you want to make sure the task force commander approves that before you call them in on that, and make sure that the aircraft knows that as well. So for the check-in, at the start of every operation, the flight lead for each element will make an initial check-in with the JTAC on the ground. This allows the JTAC to know who and what available platforms are on station and ready for tasking. Note that a check-in may be delayed in the event that CAS is required the instant aircraft is on station. Check-ins provide vital information to the TACP and that allow them to utilize the airframe to its full potential. So below is a basic check-in. You can read over that. We'll be practicing stuff like that later on when we do the actual practical section of this qualification course.
You fill me in one more time on what the danger close cheat sheet is.
Sorry, what was that?
Your danger close cheats, like you said, 2, 4.
Yeah. So unguided munitions, so like the Mark 82s and stuff, are 400 meters. Guided munitions are 200, and then the guns are 100. Roger. So the guns are the 30 millimeter on yours, and then the GAU 8 on the A10. Both are about 100 meters. So I assume the aviation assets are pretty familiar with the check-in, but this is just reversed. I do have some documents I will probably share later. Just have to remind me if I forget, that actually have like a check-in stuff that you can write down things on, so it's a lot easier for you to remember instead of having to write down every single thing. It's like a template, basically, so you can read back pretty fast. So technically, the only thing that has to be read back in the check-in is the abort code, but usually we'll read out the whole thing, including the ordnance and the fuel and the flight, just so you are aware of what they have on board, so you actually know what they can use. Usually, also when you call in 9-line, you'd use you'd leave the ordnance up to them, but if you have to request something, it's better to know what they have on board.
Right on.
All right. Copy. So the terminal attack control types. There's 3 types, 1, 2, and 3. So type 1 is used when the risk of fratricide is high. This is when you have to visually acquire the target as well as the attacking aircraft before they're allowed to be cleared hot. Type 2 is when you can only visually acquire one of them. So it's either the attacking aircraft or the target you're kinetically striking. And type 3 is it's usually used when risk of fratricide is low, so usually you'd want to use this when you're well away from the task force, the target, and this is when you can't see the aircraft or you can't see the target you're attacking. Usually when you do a type 3, you can predetermined zone, like use a predetermined zone outside of the task force. So for example, if there is threats that are a few kilometers out, you can just type 3 the whole area there, so the aviation assets will just let loose on that area.
Sergeant, can you clarify something?
Yep.
Type 1 and type 2, you're saying that the JTAC must visually acquire the target and the aircraft that's attacking, or is it that the aircraft must visually acquire the target?
You must, for type 1, the JTAC has to visually acquire both the target and the aircraft. In Arma, it can be a little weird. Usually we just use type 2 because it can be depending on your view distance, you can sometimes not be able to see the aircraft.
Copy that.
I think with Type 1, you got to make sure the pilot says he tallies it, though.
Yeah.
And then you'll let him know again, okay, you're still good to go on it.
Yep.
And as a rule of thumb, if I'm ever using Type 1 for anything, I sort of consider verifying marks on Blue Force as kind of as an Arma equivalent, because you don't have the same, obviously, situational awareness you do in real life. You hear the A10 in real life a lot easier than you'd hear it in Arma, so you know, and this was information that I had from Captain Soto as well. If you see the marks on your tablet and the marks look good and the ingress looks good, then that can pass for Type 1 as well. Because quite often you just won't see them because of the way Arma works.
Copy that.
Any other questions?
Negative, thank you, sir.
All right, on to the fixed wing 9-line close air support brief.
Did you want to break reading? Because I'm happy to do some. But...
Yep.
Okay, cool. So when you're reading a 9-line, you want to make sure that you have all of the relevant information kind of assembled and ready to go before you start calling it. It'll speed up your 9 lines and it'll just make the whole process a lot smoother. Also, as with all of our calls for fire formats, you don't read any of the headings. We'll talk about the headings today to sort of explain them, but then once you get rolling into the actual briefing format, you drop the headings and you just state the information just in the required format. So you'd basically just read each line with a small pause after it, basically long enough for the guys to actually write it down, because they will actually be writing it down in their cockpits as they go. So talk slowly, talk deliberately, make sure that you're clear about what you're calling in. If you are tight on time, you can use what's called a modified 9-line. That simply involves condensing lines 1 through 3. Tech Sergeant Minatazaki and I like the phraseology from the overhead, which is something that we found in kind of IRL documentation. Or you can just say lines 1 through 3 NA. Whichever works, and the same with lines 7 through 9. You can NA those as well. Basically, lines 4 through 6, which are in bold once we get down to them, are the lines that you can't skip under any circumstance when you're running a 9-line with fixed wing. So traditionally, calling for a 9-line is preceded by advising the aircraft to push a direction. Typically that would be the direction of the IP you're about to use with the 9-line, and advising them to stand by. So for example, if I'm about to call a 9-line which relies on Thunder to be ingressing from the north, I would say, you know, Thunder push IP November and stand by for 9-line. And then sometimes they will just come straight back and say, you know, Roger, we're pushing north, go, you know, ready 9-line. Or they might say, you know, stand by, and then they'll call you back later and say ready 9-line, depending on how far they've got to go to make that happen for them. And preceding the 9-line calls, it's not really technically a line number, is then the type control. Like, you know, type 1, 2, or 3, as we just talked about. So then each of the...
I've never heard it used as miles to target for line 3.
Yeah, AFM, we use kilometers.
So how would that sound? How would you say that?
What do you mean?
Like an example of how would you speak line 3?
Sure. So because our IPs are always 8 kilometers out, we basically always read line 3 as 8 kilometers.
Okay.
Yeah, we usually place them 8 kilometers out.
Yeah, so it basically just depends. Now, obviously, if you know that it's going to be, if the target is a long way from bullseye, then you can adjust. But basically, if you're reading a full 9-line, 99% of that is that you are reading the full 9-line just for, like, immersion factor. Lines 1 through 3 aren't super important in Arma because the distances are obviously a lot closer.
Okay.
So line 1 is the IP, or the initial point, kind of just what we talked about in terms of where the aircraft is going to ingress from, and that sort of determines their final attack vector. Obviously, if they're going to ingress from the north, they can't commence a gun run from the south. It's just not going to happen. You should at all times try and avoid attacking towards the ground element. We've seen why that's a bad idea on more than one occasion. You want to try and run either at 90 degrees to the ground element, or come over the shoulder of the ground element. but the 90-degree vector is preferred most of the time. Line 2 is the bearing. Again, this is one of those things which we just kind of always read as a standard. You can calculate the exact bearing if you like, but we typically don't have that kind of time, frankly. So, if they're coming from the north, the bearing will be 180, from the east 270, etc. Like the document says, you can calculate it, but you've got map tools. It's just a timing issue. Line 3 is the distance, as we just talked about. Then line 4 is the elevation of the target. If you don't know how to get the elevation of your target, that comes from your Android device. It is the second line down in the bottom right corner. Basically, just make sure that if Thunder can't see what's happening, they don't smash themselves into the ground. That's obviously more important when we're operating on super interesting terrain like we currently are, or on Klafgan. That was also very important because those ridge lines were everywhere. The description of the target. Now, this is one of those things where we want to try and be as specific as we can. So we try and avoid saying, one enemy squad. We try and say we've got, 12, 12 individuals, 12 infantry, 12 tangos, whatever language you want to use. And that rolls into the BDA side of things later. But just try and be specific so that the aircraft can visually acquire easier. And then line 6 is the grid location. Line 7, the way the target is marked, typically we use Blue Force marker for everything, but you can also use, IR lasers, you can use laser designators, you can use, you could do a smoke mission from Havoc 4 to spot a target if you really wanted to. It's just so long as the aircraft is aware of it. Line 8 is the direction and bearing of friendlies from the target. So, friendlies are 500 meters northeast. It again helps them when it comes time to visually acquire targets, and it helps when it comes to the final attack vector. Like we talked about, we don't really necessarily specifically state an attack vector, so knowing where the friendlies are helps the pilot determine their attack vector as they come through. And then line 9 is the egress. So you can specify if you want them to come in from the north and egress west, if that's what works in a specific situation, or you can just say NA, your discretion, whatever works for you. Following the 9-line brief, you would then typically include any number of additional pro words as relevant. I basically always finish a 9-line with readback and standby remarks, just because that is it's the easiest way to determine that your 9-line is complete if you wrap it up with some form of pro word. You can also use push ASAP if you need them to just get it done as quickly as possible, and you can specifically request a call on finals. So, for example, if they're coming in on a Type 3 clearance, and you have already cleared them to engage, you may want them to call on final just so you are aware of the status of that 9-line, just in case they forget to call you back when they release ordnance. And then in some circumstances, it may be required to give an aircraft accelerated clearance to eliminate a major target or to conduct seed missions. In these situations, you can basically lean on that Type 3 clearance to accelerate the acquisition and destruction. The guys from Task Force Charlie know that I do this quite a lot because it makes things quick. But you can say, Warlord, you clear Type 3 on type mark, whatever the type mark is, if there's a BMP-3 that's lighting up the task force. From the perspective of the task force commanders, and we know this has come up somewhat recently, if the ground element is getting absolutely fucked up by a BMP, they don't kind of want to see you sitting there screwing with words, non-stop. So if you can pump out a 9-line really good and really quick, then obviously go ahead and do that. But if you just need it dead now, then you can, like I said, lean on Type 3 to get it done. So any questions on any of the 9 lines in a 9-line?
No.
Beautiful.
Negative, Sergeant.
Okay, cool. I'll carry on for a little bit just because I feel like it. So then we've got a couple of just pro words that you'll hear back from Thunder. So first we've got the release terms. So you've got cleared hot. Now cleared hot is only used during Type 1 and 2 controls. and this basically is the clearance for the aircraft to release ordnance. And then cleared to engage is the equivalent for Type 3. It's important to note that only after either of those two brevity terms will a fixed-wing airframe actually release ordnance. You've then got continue. This is typically used after the readback of a 9-line until the point where Thunder has visually acquired their target and they're actually ready to call you for clearance. So you will just say to them, after they finish reading back, you say continue, and then they'll go ahead and proceed on their run, and then once they've acquired or tallied the target, they'll call you back and let you know, and then you can provide them clearance to engage or clear them hot. And then last up is abort, which obviously we use whatever their actual abort code is. Thunder tends to take abort as the abort code or wave off, but that does vary a little bit. And you want to say it 3 times so that they definitely hear you, and so that if there's any stepped on transmissions, that hopefully whoever is keyed up understands that you're trying to abort close air support. And then we have the release terms you'll hear back from Thunder. So guns, guns, guns is used by fixed and rotary to indicate that they're firing their gun. Rotary guys, you can correct me here if I'm wrong, but I think in Warlord you'll tend to just say, Warlord's guns once, whereas Thunder will say it 3 times. Rifle is on a guided missile launch, so that applies to Hellfires, Mavericks, to the Ligers, etc. And then Dart is unguided, so the Hydra 70s is basically it. We don't use a lot of unguided stuff. And then Fox 1, 2, and 3 is basically all air-to-air. We pretty much exclusively use the AIM-9, so you'll hear Fox 2 if for whatever reason we're shooting sidewinders at other aircraft. Did you want me to carry on with the rotary stuff?
I can take over if you want me to.
Okay, cool. And then I'll pick it back up at the Havoc 4 stuff.
Good luck, it's just sport.
Yeah, Bowman, Chief Bowman. This could, if you want to.
No, I'm kidding.
We haven't been using this a lot, but we will start using these more often now. The rotary wing 5-line for a close combat attack. So these are pretty much.
All right, now I'm done talking. Doc, thanks for the follow.
Usually already stated when you're initiating radio contact, so when it's just
there is a live fire part to this, I promise.
For a fire mission, just a pen fire mission or requesting fire to the end of your call, so they know that incoming attack brief is incoming, so they can start writing and get their pens ready. For line 2, so this is the flanking location. Instead of using your actual position, try to mark it with the closest friendly to the target, so the aircraft actually knows who's the closest to the target. Target location, try to be as descriptive as you can. This is the distance and direction from line 2, so from the friendly's position. If you can't specifically get it like right away, just try to give a good estimate of how far and the direction from that element they are. You can also give geographical references or offsets from them. So, for example, if there's a mountain in the way, you can give them a general estimate from that location. So for 4, it's the same as the description line and the 9-line. Try to be as accurate as possible. Give them the number of threats or enemies in that area, not just one squad. And then for 5, you want to give remarks such as if it's danger close, any threats to the aircraft that they might experience, or any other pertinent information. So make sure if it is danger close, you say you let them know that it's clear danger close, so that they're aware of that, and you want to approve this 5-line with the task force commander before you give it to the aviation assets. So, any questions about the 5 lines?
Yes, sir. You said you need to approve the 5-line with the task force commander. Can you clarify that?
It's for danger close. You want to approve that. So any danger close strikes, you want to approve with the task force commander. Let them know that it will be danger close before you send that up.
Oh, copy that.
Yeah. Sorry if that cut out there. So for the 5
So
line,
yeah, so we're just
append
tracking
everything
over
at
the school
end
portion
when
right
ready
now, and then
at
we're
my
about
command,
to we're
and
getting
the
pretty close
aircraft will
actually
call
to
back
heading
ready
out
for
into the
fire
field.
when they're ready. This is probably, you already know this, this is similar to Havoc 4, so just letting the aircraft acquire the target but not fire before you let them. So onto the landing zone brief. So LZs are called in a 5-line format. This also hasn't really been used as much as by us for the sake of time, but we will try to start using these and try to be proficient with both the 5 lines and the landing zone briefs from now on. So for each line of a 5-line landing zone brief, the first one is the pickup location, so it's where you're located right now. You want to give them a grid and an LZ marker if you can on C-tab, so that the ground forces can move to the LZ by referencing the C-tab mark, and the aviation assets know what grid to look for. Destination, same thing as above, just where you're going to. Hazards, so any kind of hazards, you want to try to describe the terrain that they're going to be landing in. Trees, power lines, buildings, and whatnot. The sitrep is what you want to let the aviation assets know regarding your composition, whether you're in contact or not, and pretty much what's happening with the troops right now. They're just sitting in base or any other context for the task force.
I'm not sure if line 2 is destination that the location is. I think line 2 is supposed to be where you're going after the pickup, and line 1 could also be NA if it's a supply drop. So for that brief, it's not always destination on line 2 being the same as the pickup.
What do you mean by that?
Well, if we're picking you
destination, I mean, like, as in after pickup, what the destination you want to go to is.
That's what I'm pretty sure that's for.
Yeah, sorry if I wasn't clear, but yeah, that's what I meant. The destination is where you want to go to, and then the pickup's where you. Yeah, after you get.
Right. Okay.
Yep. Let's see. So ingress, egress usually just leave this up to the pilot's discretion. But if there's any restrictions and stuff regarding ingress and egress, let them know about that. Well, other than that, it's usually left up to pilot's discretion. So following the 5-line brief, you can give them additional remarks or restrictions. Usually it's already given, but in case there's anything else that comes up at the end, you'll just want to let them know about that. Another thing to request is usually the order of the helicopter, so which will be landing first or which will be landing last and what order they're coming in. This is so the task force commander knows how to space out the personnel that'll be on the flight, as well as making sure that everything is going smoothly. So below is a example of 5-line. So it's the LZ, the type mark, grid, and then the pickup one, and then the destination. Power lines, for example, could be a hazard, and then letting you know with the sitrep, the troops in contact, and distance and direction. And then the ingress and egress are given as well. And then it's on to artillery. Call for fire. I'll let Sergeant Hardman handle that one.
Cool. Go. Okay, so indirect fire services are provided by Havoc 4, and unless specifically instructed otherwise, we call our fire missions over 3-1, so that the platoon element is aware of that outbound IDF without basically having to make a second radio call to inform. Similar to close air support briefings, call for fire have a specific format. So line 1 is the mission type and the target location. Line 2 is the munition count and the munition type, and then line 3 is the target description and the fire control. So Havoc 4 has got 32 rounds of HE, so they don't sort of need to check in because their ordnance doesn't really change. You just have to basically have an idea of how many guys they have. So if they're running 2 tubes, then you know that that's what they've got ordnance-wise, or if they've got 1, then they've got 32. So again, each portion of this is read continuously with just minor pauses between each piece of information. So first up we have the mission type. So mission types, we've got adjust fire missions, and this is used when we're firing spotting rounds or to adjust a previous fire mission. Creeping barrage is used to traverse rounds between 2 different target locations. Fire for effect is used when little to no adjustment should be required for good effect on target. Immediate suppression is, we almost never use it, but its intent is when Op4 is directly engaging a friendly element, It basically implies fire for effect ASAP. And then smoke missions are used to designate smoke rounds for whatever purpose, whether you're using it to conceal friendlies or to deny sightlines to OPFOR. Target location basically works the same as CAS does with a few kind of exceptions. You can use a mix of grid references, Blue Force tracker markers, terrain features, and relative positions. There's a list of examples there. Basically, when Havoc 4 go into their artillery computer, they can obviously see terrain and this kind of thing. So you can use that stuff as a reference because they do get a top-down view of what's going on. You can also get pre-designated fire zones, and we typically only set these up when we're either defending or ambushing, and these will typically be drawn on the map in side chat. You've then got munition selection. If you're not sure how many rounds to fire, I'll leave it up to Havoc 4 to decide. Those guys do a bunch of training on, how many types of rounds does it take to kill what sort of fortification. But you would state that as, for example, 5 times HE if you wanted 5 HE rounds. If you were firing a smoke mission, I would say let Havoc 4 decide how many rounds of smoke they would need, because Havoc 4 smoke is a little iffy, technically. Target description, again, as per CAS, we want to try and be specific as to what that target actually looks like. If it's a fixed enemy position, try to give them as much information as you can. Just, again, because armor be armor, if you have, for example, some sandbags or some H barriers in the middle of this fortification, it changes the way you spread rounds out. And also, obviously, if troops are on the move, try and be specific about where they're moving. That's where uniform really comes in terms of being able to provide that accurate information. And then we have fire control. Now, again, we pretty much always use fire when ready. It's almost never anything else, which basically is exactly that. And then you also have 2 other options. Basically, you either have at my command, which means that they will get all ready to go. They'll get their artillery computers set, and then they'll call you back. And then when you say fire, basically it's immediately rounds go out of the tube. And then you have time on target, which is used basically for coordination. So you can either give it as an absolute time based on in-game time, or you can give them a adjustment from current. So if you want, my example there is 75 seconds later, because they will see the ETA in their artillery computer and they can adjust back and then fire as appropriate. Now the trick is with Havoc 4 is obviously they have to set up their guns to actually be able to fire. So you want to give them a warning first and say, Dagger, this is Havoc 4, this is Dagger. Go ahead and set up and prepare for fire mission. And then they will find a good position to set up. They will get set up, and then they will call you back and advise you when they're ready for the fire mission. And then basically you read the fire mission sort of as per the example. They'll read back. You'll go through the usual process of making any corrections to the read back, etc. And then when they are firing, they will call you back on 3-1, and they say, actually they'll just call on 3-1 generally. They won't call you specifically. So there's Havoc 4 rounds going out, ETA, and then whatever the ETA is. Now, typically, what I would do at that point as a JTAC is then I would talk to either guys in the sky or uniform and have someone put eyes on that fire mission so that we can relay a BDA to Havoc 4. As Sergeant Stevens and I are both pretty familiar with, having a lack of BDA is problematic for Havoc 4 because it basically means that we don't know what the effect was, what adjustments need to be made. Basically whether or not, whether things need to be trained on, etc. It just leaves them entirely in the dark. So try and always relay a BDA over to Havoc 4 after the fact, and you can only do that if someone's looking at it. And then when the rounds are 10 seconds out, you'll get another call just in case, which will be splash. So, and then from there you can go ahead and make adjust fires as necessary so that the rounds are on target, or you can fire for effect if it was a spotting round, which was a good spot. And then basically you just repeat that process until either Havoc 4 needs to pack up and go because they're in a bad spot, they get engaged, or just command is yelling at them to move. The enemy has been suitably eliminated or rendered combat ineffective. Additional rounds wouldn't be worth expending, or that repeated adjustments have been insufficient and that basically to keep trying would just be a waste of ordnance for whatever reason. Sometimes the tubes are just broken as shit in armor, and for seemingly no reason you just can't hit a target. And so at that point, just stop wasting rounds, pack it up, and just change to a different airframe. Now, the important point here is that if we are shelling a compound, or a town or whatever we decide to be shelling in any given situation, it's unlikely that Havoc 4 will entirely eliminate everything within a location. If uniform says that there are 3 guys left up in a compound, that doesn't necessarily mean go ahead and keep flinging rounds at it until those 3 guys are dead. The way artillery works and the fact that it's a 60 mil shell, it just may not happen. So it's a balance against eliminating the enemy against the number of HE rounds which are available to us for the operation. Does anyone have any questions on the Havoc 4 stuff? Excellent. Well then, we are done with the lots of talking bit. Yeah, glad Stevens is here. He super needs all the lecture bit. So at this point, we will probably take the teleport flag out to, I guess, part 1 of the exercise. The blue teleport flag, and you want to take the TACP hill teleport option.
Copy that. Sir, I'm gonna need just about 2 minutes, sir.
Okay, solid copy.
Thank you.
Mr. O'Neill, you still with us?
I am.
Okay, cool. You can head out to TACP hill with the other guys and just let them know that we'll be about 2 minutes behind them. Alright, Lansy, fucking, how's it going? Now that we have like a hot second. Alright, I'm just gonna quickly flick out my headphone battery because it's about to die, so I will be right back.
Sorry about that. We're good to go. Attack the hill.
Alright, we are back and good to go. Excuse the background noise here probably while I just flick that battery cover back on, and then let's get out of here. Havoc 4 should have a new gunner, awesome. Love some...
Head up the tower here. Wow, this is fancy.
Yeah. This is
very fancy.
For you.
I didn't do anything.
You mean this isn't yours?
No, someone built that before me in S4. This is all part of the standard TACP template though.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, very restricted.
Very restricted. Very open.
To be fair, it's mostly restricted because when you're up on the top of this tower, things shoot at your face.
Can I open that?
Yeah.
Interesting. Use scroll wheel.
Wow, that's super broken. Alright, cool. Stevens will figure it out.
Those dirty video game cheats.
Son of a gun.
That screen is still broken as shit. Don't touch it.
Okie dokie, not touching that.
Okay, cool.
Yep, I failed already. I gotta run back down to the arsenal down there.
Oh yeah, everyone better make sure they have a laser designator because you're gonna need it.
And make make sure it works. So try turning it on and off. If not, you have to grab the batteries.
Yeah, then you cleared Hardman's forehead.
Roger, roger.
Oh boy.
Okay, I'm gonna...
Alright, battle droid.
Yeah, just make sure it works and you have batteries. It's a little glitchy sometimes.
Harmon Stevens on 311.
Go ahead, point one.
The box down here does not have laser discs in it.
That's fine, just come back up, I'll give you one.
Gabby.
Ooh, I can repel from here.
Alright. Where the shit
Why
there
is
go,
the
Black?
laser does in the uniform still? I forget that. Is that because we wanted to control laser energy? Is that what we're saying?
Oh yeah, laser energy is incredibly controlled.
Yeah,
You've
we
got
want
a
that.
des now. You should be good.
Grabbing it.
Thank you.
Hardman, when you give me a chance, can you give me Zeus as well?
Oh yeah, copy.
Thank you.
Promote to Zeus. Mini.
Thank you, thank you.
No problem. Did you want me to run over this part and then you can take point for the part 2 of this?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, cool. Okay, so the first part of this exercise is basically just to make sure that we can properly identify and mark targets in the AO. It means that then if we're calling an airframe in, we know what we're calling them in on, and it means that if we're calling Havoc 4, that we're calling them on a marker that is good. So out here in the field, on your maps, it's bordered by the green border. There are a number of targets. Now out there are 2 pieces of mobile AA, there's 2 pieces of static AA, there's 1 MBT, 2 APCs, and there's 2 or 3 infantry formations. So what we're going to do is just so I know basically whose marks are whose, we're going to go essentially 2 at a time, with no specific preference over what it is that you find. There's enough targets out there for everyone. So Sergeant Stevens, you can go first. Just find 2 targets, mark them up, and then when you've got them marked on tablet, let me know and I'll verify those markings. Mr. O'Neill and Chief Bowman, if you want to start scanning for targets in the meantime, you are welcome to scan in the background.
Oh,
Just
yeah,
like I
I'm
said.
a motherfucker, don't worry.
Say again?
I have all my fucking 6 digits already written down.
Alright, good. Yeah, I suppose you guys have a lot more practice at spotting targets from a distance than we do. Linty, I swear to God, I'm gonna fucking kick you out of here. Hey Mark, how's it going? Welcome to the slightly less interesting part of the slightly more interesting part of JTAC qualifications. Letting these guys get their ship marked together, and then we'll be good to roll. And then once we're done with this, we're going to head out to this AO, where we are going to be actually bringing the paint on stuff.
Alright, marker 0908 is a stationary infantry patrol, 4-man strong.
Copy. Start marking your next target. I'll check that one.
Copy. Ooh, hello.
Looks like it's probably going to be pretty good. Yeah. I mean, like, it's close enough, honestly. I think if we are to be technical, it is slightly more this way. But that could also just be the fact that Arma doesn't know how to render shit at a distance. The other thing is, if you drop fucking mortars on that, they would still be dead as shit. Like it's that's yeah, that'd be pretty close. And 0909?
0909 is 1 times mobile AA. And then here's my crappy identification. Is that a Tunguska? No missiles, right?
Yep, it's a Tunguska with missiles.
It has missiles?
If it has
It's
missiles,
on
it's a
the Pacific
Tunguska.
radar dish.
Oh, copy. Okay, yeah.
So
it's
0909.
Tunguska.
0909 is not a Tunguska. (0909) is a Shilka. But Mark is good.
Shilka. Okay.
Sorry, we're looking at something different. I thought you found the same thing I did.
Okay, Chief Bowman, you can have the next two. Oh, that'd be 1 round,
Okay.
Keys. Like, even with the wrong mark,
regret.
that'd be 1 round.
Never mind.
I just mark it. All good.
Alright, 09er 10, rear F100 120. It'd be a static AA gun.
Yep, carry on. Again, I mean, not quite tied up in the corner. But the thing with that is that if you call Havoc 4 on that marker, that'll be ineffective. That's the hard part, because that would be an ineffective 60 mil. Because it's the other side of sandbags, and 60 mil in armor is broken as shit. So make some notes here real quick.
Rear 9er 11, grid ref 101 119er is a stationary piece of armor. I think it's a BTR or BMP.
If I remember past me correctly, yeah, it's neither.
Yeah, that's an MBT.
Okay. MB armor. The marker's easy.
Yep, all good. Mr. O'Neill, you go.
Yeah, I got one more for you.
Okay, copy.
Oh, same one. He just marked it.
Yep.
Faster than you.
I was looking at that one too.
So what's the ID for that one?
Where it is. It is 0911. I put an armor marker on it. It's a Tunguska.
Copy.
Zero 0912 BTR.
0912.
Grid 099121.
Yep, eyes on. Okay, so I have a couple of real quick notes that I'm going to give on those things real quick, just before we move on to anything else. It is my personal preference, and Sergeant Mizaki, correct me if you disagree on any of this. If it's anti-air, mark it as anti-air, even if it's armor, because it makes a difference for us getting you guys clearance to annihilate shit. If they look at the AO and there's just a shit ton of like AA down. It makes life a little clearer when than having it mixed in with armor marks between tanks and what have you.
So use the static AA.
AFAM. It's annoying that we don't have a mobile AA marker, so that would be my personal preference.
Copy that.
I mean, technically we do, because you still do put a direction on it, at least, if it is moving.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, even if it's stationary but it's capable of moving, I mean, you could even just put it down with the direction of whichever direction it's facing. You know, if we just wanted to keep track of the difference between the two. Now out there still is one more piece of static AA. Let's see who can find that, kind of just for fun, because we need just a few more markers here for everything else we're about to do.
Damn Strela out there, don't you?
No, it's bigger than a guy with a Strela, but it's not much bigger than a guy with a Strela.
Also a BMP out there.
37, it was just beside these guys here. It's like there, if I remember correctly. Yep. Mark, I don't know what you mean, unfortunately, by you have to be live now or what. Sorry. Say again?
Yeah, disregard.
Copy.
Saw that,
0915 a BMP.
Copy 0915 BMP. Not the piece I'm looking for, but good to have it there, because like I said, we're going to need basically all these targets marked up to call cast on them here anyway. I'm going to mark this one, because this is a bit of a pain in the ass to mark. They are moving northwest.
Sorry, Hardman's shoulder.
I've just marked up one squad that I know would be hard to see from this perspective down in grid 102, 117. It's a patrol moving backwards and forwards between that tree line.
I saw that
And
one as
grid
well.
097122, marker 0915 is a squad moving currently southwest, patrolling in that area.
Copy.
Are they all in this little grid layout, or are some of them outside of it?
They're all pretty, yeah, they're all in this grid layout. I'm going to mark it just so we can keep moving forwards, unless you guys are happy with the hide and seek exercise.
Yes.
It's good practice, but
Yeah, no, all good.
not seeing it.
Okay, grid 098122 is a Igla chair on top of the hill.
Their marker?
Yeah, 0916.
Oh, yep, right there. Man, I passed right over him like 5 times. Oh, he's pretty well camoed there.
Say again?
Yep.
He's pretty well camoed there.
Blends in with that rock.
Oh yeah.
Yep. Okay, so
Let's start UCPs.
with that 0915 squad marker, Stevens, that you called out, it's a fair way off the road, and they were moving along the road. So I get with a patrol that can be kind of tricky. But just try and keep it a little closer. And
Oh, where I marked it, that's where they were at that point in time. They're actually coming off the road.
Okay. Okay, well then
Right
they're
back on the road.
then they're just broken because their waypoints shouldn't have taken them off the road. And then the other comment I had was the static ZU at 0910. If you guys just, I don't know, throw a waypoint on it and just render the waypoint real quick, just so you can see where that marker is falling. The fact that that mark is just the other side of those sandbags will a whole bunch of the time cause Havoc 4 to be ineffective. So just keep that in mind. Because 60mm is hecka broken. So, like, you know, one shitty little sandbag is enough to apparently totally destroy it from working. Lanty with the 5, thank you. Appreciate you. So, with a bunch of shit marked up, we're going to go ahead and we're going to go through the process of calling some of our support formats. So, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to talk about 9 lines from Fixed Wing, just because they are kind of a mouthful and a half, and if you can get 9 lines, you'll probably get 5 lines, no problem. So we're all going to use the same Blue Force mark right now. We're going to use 0915, the BMP, grid 100117. So just everyone take a second to, I guess, acquire that target. Look at your 9 line notes or the template that's outlined in the document, whatever works for you. And then we're basically just gonna go down the line here and we're gonna run through some 9-line calls. Now the first run we do through this is going to be full 9-line, so no abbreviations, call all 9 lines. Pretend you have a thunder in the air. Pretend they have, you know, all of the ordnances. You can use whatever the hell you like. We're just going to work on taking out that one target. So we're going to go in reverse order. I'm going to start with our 2 pilots because you guys have the most experience with this stuff. So I'll let Sergeant Stevens ease into things. So Chief Bowman, when you're ready to go with a 9-line call, just pick up on 7-0 and carry on. And Sergeant Michizaki, if you can reply to him as Thunder.
Yep, give me 1 second here. Let me get a pen.
Copy, copy.
Alright, we're good.
Alright, excellent. So, yep, Chief Bowman, no rush, take your time, but whenever you're ready, just pick up the radio and kick us off.
Roger, will do.
Oh, I'm so excited to get my new frickin' SSD squared away, because I'm running out of storage space. I have too much shit. And just catching back up on chat here, Keys, yeah, we love fucking repeating shit too, because it's quick. Especially, because I know that you guys in chat here are basically all having 4. If I can give you a repeat without adjustments, that is so fucking quick to demolish a target. And so that makes life really
Thunder, Dagger,
easy for us.
7-0, stand by for 9-line.
Thunder, 7-0, standing by.
Push IP Echo, ingress, bearing 270. Target distance is 8 kilometers. Target elevation, 14 meters. Target is 1 BTR in the open at grid ref 100117. March 0915. Friendly location 900 meters to the west in the tower. Egress to the north. How copy?
Let's see how good Mini does it. Copying down and under.
Echo 270, move 8 kilometers, 14 move 1 BTR in the open at grid 1007. Marker 0915. 900 meters south, egress.
Correction, line 8. Friendly location is 900 meters slightly to the west. Requesting type 2 with guns.
Copy, friendly west, 900 meters, requesting guns.
Does Mini sound like total shit to anybody else?
Yeah, it sounds like he's talking through a bottle.
Yeah, Mini, can you stop being underwater? That'd be great.
Yeah, I tried. I'll try that. Sorry.
Okay, cool.
Cams.
I have really no feedback on that. Chief, your fucking experience shows I got really nothing to add. The only thing I would say is if you missed it initially, if I missed it initially, just try and state the type clearance up front rather in the remarks. Yeah, no, that's okay. It was still better than the first 9-line I ever read, so I mean, good shit. Sergeant Minzaki, did you have anything?
Besides that type control at the beginning, nothing.
Okay, cool. Mr. O'Neill, you're up.
Same target, correct?
AFA. We'll just keep things simple.
Oh, one thing, Chief Bowman.
Good.
When you were doing that 9-line, you didn't request ordnance. Oh wait, you did. Never mind. Not the guns. Right. Sorry. That was after. Yeah. Usually you can just, if you want to abbreviate a little faster, you can just request the guns right after. Instead of having to tell them to do that afterwards.
Okay.
I love how in Arma, when you hold binoculars, you don't hold them at eye level. Like, look at Stevens. He's holding them to his mouth.
Quick question.
My favorite.
Yep.
Is there some sort of cheat sheet for ordnance to target type?
I'm working on one, but kind of. So the basic thing is that if it's a piece of armor, more or less you want to use a missile on it, because they typically will get there faster and more on target. Bombs we tend to save for infantry and such, and then guns is kind of a catch-all. But it also comes into the types of ordnance too. So, like for example, if we have, let's take Warlord as an example, because Warlord has the clearest example of this. If Warlord comes up with a bunch of Novembers, then Novembers are best suited for infantry. So, if you have infantry targets and they say they don't have any Ligers on board, they've only got the Novembers, then November's out against infantry, and save the kilos and the lemurs for armor.
The best thing is to really learn what all the different types are, because I can't tell you how many times I've had goofy calls come over prior to the SSgt and Hardman Dagger administration forming.
Yeah, and the best advice I can give you is to lean on the training that these guys have. Like, end of the day, they are the respective experts in their field. So if you have a T-80 out there and you need it dead, then leave ordnance to their discretion, but ask them to tell you what it is. You can say that with them at the aviation brief ahead of time. Like, your first time JTACing, if you say to the guys, look, I'm going to leave ordnance up to your discretion basically all night, but if you can just tell me what you're fucking rifling off, then you can keep track of what they think is best. So one thing that we see a lot is, for example, expanding Hellfires against soft infantry targets, just because Hellfire becomes kind of synonymous for laser-guided munition, whereas a lot of the time a Liger will do exactly the same effect on target, and you can carry basically nearly twice as many. So,
and you don't want to end up being the JTAC who asks for Hellfire and gets whatever I need to give him anyway.
Right.
Because if someone asks for a kilo on an infantry target, they're getting a Liger. Don't care.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, it's the same as having the guys on the ground worry about their ammo expenditure, right? Like, if they've come up with only 8 Hellfires for the whole 2-hour op, then you want to save those in case a fucking tank platoon arrives. And it seems unlikely, but anyone who's survived through Crimson Moon will tell you that no, that shit happens. So
Yeah.
try and keep the heavy hitting stuff for when you need it. It's the same as when you get Thunder check-in with cluster munitions, or with the 2,000 pounders. Then you really want to save those when you definitely need to put a lot of work in, or when you need to scare a lot of bastards off. That's because that's the other thing too, is that to talk unimmersively about it for a second, if Zeus sees that we're fucking cluster bombing a mountainside, they're unlikely to send a platoon of guys immediately back over that cluster side. That's how they're trained. Over that mountainside. That's how they're trained. So we can do area denial through suppression with aircraft as well. So, so for example, I work with obviously Lieutenant Brownlee a lot. He likes to bring up 6 Mark 82s every operation. A string of all 6 500-pound dump drop bombs across a ridgeline is a pretty good way to tell people to fuck off. So, was there any other questions before we pick back up with Mr. O'Neill on his 9 line?
Not for me, Sergeant. Thank you.
Beautiful. Okay, Mr. O'Neill, again, whenever you're ready, just pick up 7-0 and start talking.
Yep, I just didn't want to interrupt you guys.
Yeah, no, all good, no worries.
Thunder Dagger 7-0.
Dagger Thunder 7-0, send it.
Thunder Push IP November, standby for 9 line.
Pushing IP November, standing by for 9 line.
Thunder Type 1 Control, IP November 180, 8 kilometers, 14 meters elevation, 1 times BMP, location 100117, marker 09er15. Target will be marked by laser quad 1. Friendly location 09er2114, no mark. Egress east. Read back and stand by for remarks.
Dagger, then I read back type 1 control, north 180, 8 kilometers, 14 meters, 1 BMP, grid 100117, marker 09er15, marked by laser energy quad 1s. Friendlies are 09er2, 114, egress east, standing by for remarks.
Roger, good readbacks. Remarks as follows. There are AA in the area, requesting 1 times Maverick.
Roger, A in the area, requesting Maverick.
Okay, so a couple of quick things to cover there. When you're giving the friendly location, try and give it as an offset rather than an absolute. Keep in mind that they're going to be focusing exclusively on acquiring the target. You don't want them to have to look at their tablet and figure it out for themselves. If you can say that we're 200 meters east, then they immediately have a picture because you just called them in from the north. If they're on the east, they'll be on the left. You can pick that up a lot quicker than trying to look at the grids and compare where they are against each other. It's also just less information to write down.
Okay.
When we're giving laser markings, we only use quad 1s, so you don't have to worry about reading a laser code. I don't see that changing again anytime soon. I know for a while we had to call laser codes, but it's not something we have to do anymore. And just be careful about reading your headings out. So things like, I know that the elevation line and friendlies line, you read those headings. So it's not the end of the world, but it will slightly slow you down. Your remarks were good though. I liked the call that there is confirmed anti-air in the area. And a Maverick's a good call because the Mavericks have a nice long range on them too. So, yeah. Altogether good. Sergeant Mintazaki, anything else?
Nothing that I have besides what you've already said about the headings and the other stuff. Can't remember
Solid
off the top
copy.
of my head.
Okay. Then Sergeant Stevens, you are up. Again, same target as everybody else. Just pick up 7-0 when you're ready.
Copy.
Miss the muffled voice? I don't, because I can actually understand his read back now. Because if he's not able to read stuff back, then that's more of an issue.
Thunder Dagger on 7-0.
Dagger, Thunder 7-0, send it.
Thunder Dagger, push IP Sierra, stand by for 9 line.
Pushing IP Sierra, standing by for 9 line.
Thunder Type 1 control, IP Sierra, heading 360, 8 kilometers, 014 meters. Target is BMP at grid 100117, mark 0915. Marked by marked by laser. Friendlies 900 west. Egress your discretion. Read back and say ready to copy remarks.
Blah.
Dagger Thunder, I read back with type 1 control, south 360 8 kilometers, 014 meters, BMP, grid 100117, marker 0915, marked by laser, friendlies 900 meters west, egress east.
Thunder Dagger, read back is correct. Ordnance at your discretion. Call and final.
Roger, ordnance will be mine. We'll call in final.
Okay. I think that was fine actually. I don't think I've got anything to comment on that we haven't already covered in some regard. Sergeant Mizaki?
For the BMP, it's a really minor thing, just labeling it as 1 times BMP, if possible, so they know. That's just really minor, though.
Copy. And don't say the head, like...
Oh, yeah.
I know I said, like... What did I say? I said target is BMP.
Yeah.
You said some of the headings, but that'll That's fine for now, but yeah, in the future, just try to eliminate the headings and not saying the headings there.
Copy. So I guess for me it seems a little backwards. I don't know. I always figured that was the headings were your indicator of new information. So that's not really the case. You give an information and then the next information is the next line, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
correct.
Say it pretty much in one string. The only kind of exception to that is if you 1 through 3 NA, you'll start with saying elevation 14 meters. So if you ever use an abbreviated 9-line, so if you NA 1 through 3, you'll start with saying elevation first. You don't say 14 meters right away.
Copy.
Yep, that is true. I forgot to cover that before. Okay.
Other than that, it was good.
Thank you.
Okay, so we may as well run through the abbreviated 9-line as well, although I feel like this is going to be pretty easy given you guys have just done that, pretty straightforward. We're going to use a new type mark. We're going to use type 0914, read 101119er, which is that MBT out there.
What do you want? 1 through 3 NA?
Yeah, FM, you can either do 1 through 3 NA, or you can use the phrase from the overhead. You can do it either way. We've found documentation that supports both methods of abbreviating a 9-line. It's really whatever you prefer to say. Whatever you feel like is faster, I guess. So, because we're doing abbreviated, your 9-line will start with the type control, and then whatever your method of abbreviation is. And then, as Sergeant Mizaki just covered, you'll then say elevation, and then whatever the elevation is, and then the rest of the 9-line will proceed as normal.
Okay, just go whenever.
AFA, if Sergeant Mizaki is ready as well.
Yep, I'm ready.
Thunder, stand by for 9-line.
Standing by for 9-line.
Lines 1 through 3 NA, elevation 13 meters. Target type is an MBT in the open. Target location, grid reference 101119er. Type mark 09er14. Friendlies are 1 click to the southwest, egress to the north. Type 3 control, requesting GBU. Would it be type 2 then? Correction, type 2.
I'm not hearing responses.
I read back type 2 control, 1 through 3 NA, MBT in the open, grid 101119er, 09er14, 1 kilometer southwest.
It was a great set,
requesting GBU.
I just gotta get the type first. I'm so used to the type part coming last in my readbacks. Reverse for me.
Yeah, just having the type mark. You can even put it in the push request. So if you tell them to push IP like Sierra or something, it could be like Thunder, this is Dagger, push IP Sierra type 2 in effect, and then they'll know it's type 2 when you're going in, and then you can either restate it or you can just go through 1 through 9, so they know that beforehand. So that's one way of doing it too that I found.
And then the only other comment I would have on that as well is just be careful of stating headings. But that was the only comment I had.
Careful of having them egress north.
Say again, sorry, Chief.
Your line heading, Sergeant, or sorry, Chief.
What do you mean?
Just in the abbreviated, you crept in a few headings. You were like, target description is 1 by MBT, target location is.
Right, but that's not in the omitted lines, right? Oh, okay. You're not talking about heading as in bearing. You're talking about...
Yeah, we're talking
Yeah,
about
sorry,
headings
correct.
themselves.
Okay.
The
So,
line headings.
Double usage word there for me.
Yeah.
Got it.
But yeah, and it's one of those things. I mean, because I've obviously done trainings with you guys before, and if I do call you on 5 lines, you read them back with that heading, so I know that you know how that works. It's just one of those things that you just want to try and stress throughout the course. so that we try and keep 7-0 as clear as possible.
Right on.
Okay, Mr. O'Neill, you are up, same target.
Thunder Dagger 7-0.
Center for Thunder 7-0.
Thunder push IP November, standby for 5 line. Correction, 9 line.
Cushion IP November, standing by for 9 line.
Thunder Dagger, Type 1 Control, 1 through 3, NA. Target elevation 13 meters ASL. 1 times MBT on the road. Grid 101, 119, 0914. Laser, 1 kilometer southwest, egress east. Read back, standby for marks.
Hurry back type 1 control, 13 meters ASL, 1 times MBT, grid 101, 119er, marked by laser, 1 kilometer southwest, egress east, standing by for remarks.
Marks as follows, requesting 1 times GBU 12, AA are present in the AO, call 30 seconds on file.
GBU 12 is fucking heavy, man.
Requesting 1 times GBU 1-2 A in the area, we'll call on final.
GBU 12
Roger,
actually
good
take
read
that
back on all.
For that one, it's similar to Chief Bowman's with the headings that you set out, that you read out, the line like descriptors. But other than that, that was I think that was it.
It just sounds. It sounds so weird to just read off information like that.
It sounds weird
I'm
just to
glad
read
I'm
it out
not
as
the
like
only one.
It's the opposite of our training in decos. That's why we're all choking on it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sergeant Hardman, if you had anything else.
No, that was all I had. And to be fair to everyone, I think that's a consistent problem that everyone has when they start at the JTAC wheel. I know it was an issue that I faced. Sometimes I find that the reason that I say them, the times that I do say them, is because it helps me to organize the information that I have present. And that's kind of why I say try and have everything ready to go before you start reading the 9-line out. So that way you don't find yourself wanting to kind of prompt yourself for what comes next, because I was aware of it in myself that the times I would stop to, say things like elevation was because I was still on my tablet trying to find the elevation because I'd either forgotten what it was or something else had happened or what have you. So, that's been my experience. So that's where the recommendation to just try and be as ready as possible comes from.
Yeah, so for me, like, the only one that I feel like I really choked up on was between location of friendlies and the egress, because I did a distance followed by an offset, which is a cardinal direction, and then the egress is also a cardinal direction. So, like, it sounded weird to me to say 1 kilometer southwest.
Yeah.
Because I'm doing a cardinal direction followed by a cardinal direction.
And so
like I'm blurring the information.
Yeah, so the thing I would say is that 99% of the time, and you guys have probably heard this a lot being up in the air on 7-0 as well, most of the time we will leave egress to Thunder's discretion. For partially that reason, also just partially because, they'll basically do whatever the shit they want anyway, so we may as well sound like that was planned.
Yeah,
we mentioned with that.
Another thing with that, usually for 9-line you can say egress yours or egress east. I think that's like the only one that you can really say the header. For that one, if it's weird to say like 1 kilometer east and then you say east again. You can be like 1 kilometer east, egress yours, or egress west. But yeah, usually just leave the egress up to them since they're the one who actually knows how to fly, not us, so they'll know what's best for the aircraft. Or well, yeah, they'll know what's best for the aircraft, so.
Yeah, in our fake little world here, we don't know how to fly. Okay, excellent. Sergeant Stevens, carry on.
Copy. Thunder Dagger 7-0.
Center for Thunder 7-0.
Thunder push IP Sierra, standby type 2.
Roger type 2, pushing IP Sierra.
Type 2, 133 NA, elevation 013 meters, 1-time MBT, 101119, laser, 1 southwest, egress at your discretion. Read back when ready. Call and file.
Type 2 Control 123 NA 013 meters, 1 times MBT, grid 101119er, laser 1 southwest, egress holding line.
Thunder, read back correct.
So in that situation where you get a read back and you're struggling to find the words to say next, continue is the word you're looking for.
Thank you, okay.
No problem. So continue, remember, continue gives them the clearance to continue on the ingress towards the target. It allows them to seek for that target, or in the case of a laser, allows them to tally the laser, verify that the laser is good. Armor being armor, you may be hitting the tree in front of it, you may be hitting the HESCO barrier in front of you because clipping is weird. So continue is the word you're shooting for. And then when they call you back and say that they've tallied the target, that is when you can then either clear them hot or clear them to engage, depending on your type of control. We're going to speed this up a little bit because with so many people here, this is taken a little longer than it normally does with one person. We're going to jump straight into a 3-line IDF because ultra abbreviated type 3 is really not that difficult. So we're going to use type marker 0918 on that static fucking AA gun out there in the sandbags. And because Sergeant Stevens has the experience with this, he can go first. So when you're ready, pick up 3-1. Everyone should have 3-1 set on their short range. If you don't, do that quickly now. When you're ready, pick up 3-1 and start a fire mission. And then, Vinny, I'll take these if you like.
Okay, I'm sorry. Which target is this going on to?
Sure, so that's 0918 100 120.
Copy, eyes on.
Yeah, Steven's calling fire missions to Dagger. To fucking Havoc for me.
Dagger on 3-1 over.
Stand by. It looks like my radio's broken after giving a speech about radios being broken. Stand by. Okay, go ahead.
Nope, never mind.
Havoc 4 Dagger on 3-1 over.
Dagger, this Havoc 4, go ahead over.
Dagger. Havoc 4 Dagger on 3-1, stand by for fire mission.
Roger, we are ready to go. Send fire mission when ready. This is weird.
Havoc 4 fire mission. Marker 0918 in grid 100120. Target is 1 static AA. Rounds at your discretion. Advise on splash over.
Solid copy Dagger, I read back. Type mark 0918, grid 100120, 1 by a static AA, rounds my discretion, will advise on splash. Over. Okay, so the thing I'm just going to get kind of fussy about is, because we are doing JTAC calls, remember to state the type of fire mission at the top. I know that the type of mission is just not a thing that we do, but so long as I'm teaching fucking JTAC qualifications, we're going to at least teach how to do it properly. So, pretty much everything is a fire for effect unless you say otherwise, I know, but just to get into the swing of things for the sake of learning it properly. That is the only real feedback I had, except you also gave the rounds and the description backwards as well. So it's the fire mission type and the location, and then the munition count and type, and then the target description and any applicable control. So that's that same fire mission in format would be Havoc 4, this is Dagger. fire for effect, grid 100120, type mark 0918, rounds your discretion, 1 time static AA, fire when ready.
Copy.
Yeah, just to be fussy about
This
it.
is the coming from the Havoc 4 guy. Jeez.
That's all good. Like I said, like that would be fine. We all know that if you called that fire mission on 3-1, the rounds would land on target, the thing would be dead, everything would be fine. But like I said, I'm going to be fussy about it because we can. Okay, Mr. O'Neill, you're up. We're going to go backwards. Same target.
Okay.
It's weird writing fire missions down again. I haven't done that in a while.
Havoc 4, this is Dagger on 3-1.
Dagger, this Havoc 4, send it over.
Havoc 4, Dagger, stand by for fire mission.
Havoc 4 is standing by, send it when you're ready, Dagger, over.
Roger, fire mission, fire for effect, grid 100120, marker is 0918, 5 times HE, 1 static AA position in a sandbag bunker, fire when ready, call splash.
I read back, fire for effect, grid 100120, type mark 0918, 5 by HE on 1 static, AA inside sandbags, fire when ready, and advise on splash over.
Roger, good readback. Have 4, over.
Okay, that was pretty good. The only thing I would say is that you don't have to say advise on splash. Havoc 4 will always call on splash regardless. That is baked into their training. So, again, just because 3-1 gets kind of busy, we try and just keep things short so that we get off the net again. Chief Bowman, you're up.
Havoc 4, this is Dagger 3-1, standby for fire mission.
Dagger, this is Havoc 4, standing by, set it when you're ready, over.
Fire for effect, grid ref 098120, keypad 1, red 4 marker 0918, HE, give me 5 of them. Target is 1 time static AA gun, fire when ready.
I read back, fire for effect, grid 100120, keypad 1, 5 by HE, 1 by static, AA, fire when ready, over.
So I'll get done read back.
Okay, you kind of threw me with keypads, but keypads is a perfectly legitimate way of calling that, so that was good. I just wasn't ready to write a keypad down. And I know that you said the round type and the round count backwards, but it doesn't super matter. They'll figure it out. But try and say them in order when possible. Just because that's the way they'll read it back to you anyway, and I find it easier if everyone talks in the same format. It's just easier to spot discrepancies.
Roger.
Okay, does anyone have anything that they... Sorry, go ahead, Mr. O'Neill.
I was saying, Chief, what grid did you read for that? I heard you say 098120.
I think he merged the type mark with the grid.
No, that's a good call.
Okay, cool. I thought that was just me being retarded, so awesome.
Nope, my cursor crept off the screen, I guess.
Okay, no problem. The thing is, if you're calling a type mark with it, they'll quickly figure out, hang on, that type mark isn't in that grid, please help.
Yep,
so.
good example of why redundancy is useful.
Yep.
Saves you from fucking up.
Okay, does anyone have any questions before we move from here into... Actually, there's one more thing we need to cover, which I super forgot to cover, and that is check-ins. Chief Bowman and Mr. O'Neill, I'm actually going to give you a pass on this because you guys check in enough as it stands. So Sergeant Stevens, we're just gonna check Thunder in, just to try and make life a little easier and to kind of, like I said, to get this moving because we're creeping up on 2 hours, so I want to try and wrap this up. So, say again?
Do you want me to do the check-in real quick?
I have an old check-in from Thunder written down beside me, so I can read that one out if you want me to use that.
Yep, sure, go ahead.
Okay, cool. Dagger, this is Thunder on 70. Stand by for cast check-in, over.
Thunder, Dagger, go check-in.
Stand by. God damn it. Hang on. Sorry, my fucking long-range buttons have just broken. Stand by.
No worries.
Okay, there we go. We're good. Dagger, this is Thunder 6-4, flight of 1 times A10 Charlie, checking in with you, frequency 70. I am orbiting your position 8 kilometers to the north at Angels 10 and above. Weapon systems reading at full load on the gun, 2 by AGM Golf 7 Hydra 70s, 2 GBU 54s, 6 Mark 82s, and 2 AIM-9 Sidewinders. Fuel systems reading at 50% and bleeding for a playtime of 0 plus 40 minutes. Port code of wave off today.
Thunder, Dagger, have you 1 time A10 at 8 kilometers north, Angels 10 and above, full on guns, 2 AGM Golfs, 7 Hydra 70s, 2 GBU 54s, 6 CBU 82, 2 A9 Sidewinders, 50% in bleeding. Time on station 40 minutes and bleeding. Correction, 40 minutes. Port code is wave off.
Yep, that was good. The only thing that went wrong there was the fact that I fucked up my ordnance. So that ordnance was technically Mark 82s, not CBUs, but that was because I can't read my own handwriting.
Alright, yeah, I think I couldn't hear him. What was that?
Sorry, I was on. Yeah, can you hear me now?
Not really. Kind of quiet still.
Is that better?
Oh, there we go.
Yes.
That's weird. Okay, apparently I was on yelling all 3 of those times. Yeah, the only thing that really fucked up there was the ordnance, and that was because I fucked up because I started saying fucking something that it wasn't. So it's because I can't read my own handwriting. So that was Mark 82s, not CBUs, but that was my own doing. Everything.
Been 6 time GBU 82s.
No, so six Mark 82s.
Oh, gotcha. I see it. Yep.
Yeah, the Mark 82s are just little dumb drop 500 pounders.
Yeah, copy.
Sudden Chance, welcome to the party. Okay, did anyone have any questions now before we head out and shoot at some things?
Yeah, why is Sergeant Chance here?
I've taken the course before, Chief.
He's here to teach you specifically.
Okay, so quick briefing and then we'll head out. Like I said, I'm keen to sort of keep this moving and wrap this up. So if you look out to the northeast, the Part 2 AO marked in red, that entire red area is considered hostile. LZ is as marked. LZ will be simulated via the teleport flag. Once you are in the AO, there's a few things that you're going to need to complete. So prior to the AO, we're going to get you to read a simulated 5-line for transport between here and there. And then once you're out there, you'll have 2 armored positions that will need to be eliminated. You can achieve this via whichever airframer, whichever ordnance you please. I will simulate check-in as both Thunder and Warlord for you, so you can use whatever you like for either of them. Once you get in there, basically need to push through town, and essentially while you're moving through that area, we want to see some basically some danger close stuff. So using smoke to mark targets, and so on. Talking aircraft onto positions if they are, struggling to acquire targets or what have you. Once you're in town, you're looking to locate and evacuate one by CSAT officer who has been lending his services to ISIS. He's in town somewhere. When we find him, you need to bring Phoenix in, stuff him in the back of the Black Hawk, and then get Phoenix back out of there. And then once the town is clear, then that will basically be the end of it. So, any questions before you guys step off?
None for me, Sergeant.
None for me, Sergeant.
I'm good.
Okay. And I just realized that you're going to have to call a 5-line to evac the HVT out of town. So you don't need to call a 5-line to get there. I just need you to call one once. So under Sergeant Minizaki's direction, because he'll be leading you guys on the ground and I'll be sticking in the Zeus side of things. I would say probably form buddy teams and make sure that you guys work as a 2-man team. You might want to set up you might want to work on 3.1.1 and 3.1.2 for the 2 separate teams. Make sure that you're aware of your battle buddy. As you guys know, out in the field, the JTAC in uniform are quite often left by themselves and kind of hung out to dry. So make sure that you're keeping an eye on your buddy and make sure that you're keeping security of the Dagger element at all times. So if someone has to stop to patch up, make sure that they have security on them and that sort of thing. And with all that said, once you guys are ready to head out there, the TP flag is at the bottom of the tower.
Copy that.
Also, just as a quick aside.
There's a quicker way.
Okay, people already jumped down.
Army, can I get some
just
Zeus?
Just as a quick aside, just for everyone, because everyone should be on 7-0 at this point. For advisory matters and check-ins, it's going to be Sergeant Stevens looking after all of those. So, Commander's intent and check-ins will be handled by Sergeant Stevens. Anyone else, if the ground element needs something taken care of, call it up on 3-1. Figure out who's going to call that in for escort, and then call it up on 7-0. Yeah, Chance, stand by.
I'm on point.
Do you want to act like Thunder? I can act like Warlord, and
3.1.2.
Why don't you guys
you want to
push,
act like Six, and I can act like
No, we're not going to give him the pressure of a ground commander. But yeah, you can, if you want to handle the aircraft, like the communication, I'll handle the Zeus stuff.
Let me know
Okay.
on 3-1, and
Yeah, can I just get Zeus so I can watch the whole
everyone gets a chance to do a 9-line at least once.
Copy. And are
So
we
whatever-
doing?
Yeah, so Chance, if you just want to deal mostly with comms and then anything that involves Zeus, I'll take care of it.
Everything here is up to you.
Okay, let me print out my sheet then real quick.
But I'll just designate
Copy.
one person.
I'll give you Zeus in the meantime.
Once, at least. But the check-in you will be doing, and then I believe the 5-line you'll also be doing at the end.
Copy.
For the transport. 1 second.
What'd you-
I have a ton here.
I was told they didn't work.
Smoke. Oh, you mean
Grenade
smoke
launcher?
grenades or the 40 mic smokes?
Oh.
I'm gonna put
Okay.
in some new marks here too before we go.
What is this? Is this an arsenal?
Nope. It just dawned on me. I took everything out of the document and I don't have any red smoke.
Oh yeah, red. Hold on. We don't have red smoke usually because if you're that close to it, it's not really that helpful. But I will.
Be advised that box on the ground is now a arsenal if you guys need it.
Oh, there we go. I was about to do that. Yeah, we don't usually carry red smoke because if you're within the range of throwing a red smoke at them, that means something kind of fucked up. Because we don't generally. I don't think I've ever actually used red smoke hand throwables, but for this, we might need it.
let's get rid of this stuff, because let's not make life harder for ourselves. Alright.
Let me know when you guys are ready.
Send IPs.
Roger.
Can you double check my IP north? You said it's supposed to be 8 kilometers, is that right?
Yeah, roughly 8
On the
kilometers.
map, the big squares, when you zoom out to 2-digit grid references, are 4 clicks apiece.
Oh,
Two
that's
big
what's
squares.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, I need to get a Phoenix ready. What do I need? Need it, not that. Oh. Booked Phoenix. Great job. So proud of you.
Alright, bullseye IP set.
Roger. About roughly it, I think.
Nancy, you back?
Yeah, I'm back now.
Okay, cool.
I think it's about... It's a little short of 8 kilometers, but we'll just say that's 8.
If you want to... no, never mind.
Yeah, once the
Yeah, that's
over
actually.
here,
Wait a minute. Each of those squares is only.
check it.
1
I'm gonna have
kilometer.
that like 8
Yeah.
come in through the gun runs.
So those are
Say
actually
again?
way short end.
You know how you
That's
can have
about
an
half
A10
there,
come in
yeah.
for gun runs?
Yeah. Okay. Let me read this.
Yes?
I was right the
How are
first
you
Why
time.
thinking?
use that?
I was just going to
Have
use
it
the
in
CAS
one game.
modules.
Yeah.
In terms of our Warlord though, I might actually put an Apache down so I can set its pylons and stick it up in the air. Like just way out there to the north.
8 kilometers is a little...
Right.
And then that way we you can just RC one of the Warlord gunner and just hit him.
How'd you do in trigonometry?
Am I gonna have to be 2 A10s or just 1 A10? Trying to figure out
How'd you
what
do
fast checking things would do.
Say again?
Am I doing 1 A10 per group or 2 A10s per?
No.
Just one guy. 1 A10. They're
Okay.
all-
There we go.
No, I'm just going to
So
bring
that's
in
roughly 8.
like they're only going to be able to call one thing at a time because there's only one
Alright, if you guys are ready,
net for it anyway.
we can go.
Okay.
Good to go.
So I'm going to tell you what I'm putting on Warlord here. So he's going to have 2 aim-9s because they always go off with aim-9s.
There you go. There's no one, obviously.
He's going to have 4 lemurs. He's going to have 4 kilos, and he's going to have 4 Novembers and a pod of APKWSs, which I think is 7.
What should I give Thunder? I don't have any of my previous check-in sheet. Fuck.
Thunder's pylons.
Yeah.
I'll give you this check-in I've got here if you want that.
Yeah, give it to me.
2 AGM Golf. 7 Hydra 70s.
Bravo, you will be pushing
2 GBU 54s.
137 after you clear this office building.
6 Mark 82s. And 2 M9s.
Copy 137.
Alright, we need to get a little closer to them so we get some good radio.
Yeah.
I'm gonna stick this one in the house.
Hardman, it's minute to dock in, 7-0.
Go ahead.
Interrogative, are we waiting for Thunder to be on station first before we do anything?
Fuck, wrong airframe. Thunder's about to check in with you, either way, so.
Roger that, never disregard last then.
Dagger, this is Thunder on 7-0. Tell me when you want that check-in.
Thunder, this is Dagger at 7-0. Go ahead and check it.
Maybe way too close, isn't it?
Dagger, I am 6 kilometers to your north at Angel 7. Weapons on board today. Gonna be full on the gun. 2 AGM Golfs, 7 Hydra 70s, 2 EV54s, 6 Mark 82s, 2 AIM-9s. I am 99% and bleeding. Time on station 0+90. Board code is wave off. I am with you on 7-0.
Thunder Dagger 7-0, copy 6 kilometers north, Angel 7, full on guns, 2 times AGM Golf, 7 times Hydra 70, 6 times Mark 82, 2 times JTAC 54, 2 times AIM-9 Sidewinders, 99% bleeding, time on station 90 minutes, abort code is wave off.
I think that was good.
Yep.
I don't think you fucked up.
Just give him a solid copy.
Solid copy on that check-in. I'll be with you up in the sky.
Hey, where are these guys at?
And check Warlord in now as well. Make him work for
I
it.
have a Warlord. Oh, I didn't write down your Warlord shit. Fuck, hold on.
4 kilos, 4 golfs, 4
Station
Novembers,
7-0,
7
be
daggers.
advised.
2
Troops have visual on contact to our southwest,
Let's
approximately
move
400 meters.
126 towards those reeds there and keep moving up.
Any Hydras?
7. They're not Hydras, they're Ligers. Solid copy, Dagger.
Dagger, this is Warlord. Listen, ready to check on frequency 7-0.
Warlord, this is Dagger, go ahead
Station, let's
on
move.
7-0.
126.
Dagger, are you ready for my check-in?
Warlord, stand by.
I just need that a little bit, because I don't need to hear quite as much of that.
Warlord, go ahead with check-in.
This is Warlord. I am 2 kilometers to your northwest at Angels 2.5. Weapons on board today. Gonna be full on the gun. 4 AGM Kilo, 4 AGM Lima, 4 AGM Novembers, 7 Liger Rockets, 2 AIM-9 Sidewinders. I'm gonna be 98% and bleeding. Time on station 0+120. Abort code is hidden.
Doesn't make Bowman happy.
Warlord, Dagger, copy you 2 kilometers northwest at Angels 2.5. 4 AGM Kilo, 4 times AGM Lima, 4 times AGM November, 7 times Liger, 2 times AIM-9 Sidewinder, 90% bleeding, 120 minutes. Time on station. Abort code is Kitten.
Solid read back, Dagger. You forgot the guns, but...
All station 7-0, be advised. Commander intent. Task force is moving from LZ southwest to objective Alpha in the town of Katalaki to find and secure 1 times HVT and evac that HVT to friendly location.
Tell them additional it is the intent of the wrecking personnel to acquire all enemy bagels.
Solid copy and all, Dagger. Standing by, ready for your work.
Jesus Christ, Armin, you set him up in a trap.
I didn't do anything.
That's alright.
Is this the AI placement?
Warlord, be advised, additional commander's intent of the ranking personnel on the ground is to locate and conquer all enemy bagels. I'll copy.
Yeah, solid copy. We'll have one of those too.
Is there a Warlord already up?
Yeah. Re-add your blue force. There's a Warlord and a Phoenix way out to the north.
Okay.
Warlord's up in the air, ready to go. Phoenix is on the deck waiting for ingress. They're about 4 clicks out. Yeah, if they call for Warlord, just fucking RC the gunner and do the thing.
Okay.
Bearing, stand by.
Should we march on C-Tab for them? Like,
Say that again?
Warlord and Thunderwood?
No.
March in on C-Tab? No?
Nope. You know how like OSUT Day 4 is like a pressure test?
Yeah.
Yeah. This is their pressure test. They get no help from aviation.
Damn, Hardman. You got him set the fuck up.
But see, the thing is, fucking, from where they came in, put a frickin' laser on the thing, and then you blow it the fuck up.
Yeah, I don't know when they're gonna start calling fucking Aaron here.
They're gonna want to be close, I would say. Also, I missed some fucking follows.
Dude,
Diver, thanks for the follow, and Bobster04.
Sitting at the front gate.
I mean, where else would you like if you had if you had one BMP? Where else would you put it? I mean,
they should be. They should definitely be able to see this. They're gonna get fucked up by that BMP. They don't see that right now. Who's that?
Ooh. Contact. Front front.
now we need to wait. We need to make sure they actually advise troops in contact on 7-0.
Smoking.
All station 7-0, be advised troops in contact.
Solid copy, troops in contact.
You gotta do the Thunder Warlord
Pushing
shit.
definitely to my left.
Thunder Warlord.
Lost station 7-0, say again.
We are in contact. We got enemy fire coming from the southeast of our current position. Friendly location is grid ref 116139er. Enemies marked by red smoke. Requesting recon.
Solid copy, we'll put eyes out, see what we can find.
What are we gonna mark from?
London.
I got hit pretty good there. I'm getting some more smoke out.
The thing is, we haven't given them a fucking restriction. We've given them 2 very loaded airframes.
Yup. Calling the goddamn A for airframes.
Okay, you know what? I will be nice. I'll mark the I'll mark that BMP for them.
I'll mark 1 patrol for them.
Dagger, this is Thunder on 7-0.
Thunder, Semper Dagger.
Dagger, be advised, you got 1 by BMP spotted on the north side of objective Alpha there, type mark 1016.
No, that's a patrol.
Copy, standby.
No, the one I marked. The fucking Arma marker.
Marker 01016 is BMP in grid 117137.
I don't see your marker.
It's C-tab.
What? Yeah, I'm on C-tab.
Oh, because you changed yourself to fucking invisible.
Oh, fuck. Hold on, let me get off
This
invisible.
is Dagger on 3-1.
Go for Dagger on 3-1.
Be advised, marker 1016 is BMP just southwest of the crossroads there. Advising type 3 control on it.
Dagger negative type 3, try type 1 or 2.
Copy.
Oh, come on, BMP. Be smart, BMP. Are you controlling that thing?
I'm not controlling anything. I'm fucking sitting here so that when they call for CAS, it's fucking ready to go.
Okay. Oh my god, this thing's gonna fucking... Is this thing told to hold fire?
Nope. No, it's fine, just leave it as it is. We need to make it harder for them. Like, at the end of the day, they're going up against a company's worth of infantry garrisoned in a town. Like,
Yeah,
they need to put their assets to work.
Oh, thank you. These guys are all freaking the fuck out.
Thunder is Dagger 7-0.
You want me to do it?
Yep.
Go for Thunder.
Thunder, push IP Whiskey, standby for 9 length.
Thunder's pushing IP Whiskey, send it Dagger.
Keeping it at 90 degrees, which is good.
Thunder, type 1 control, IP Whiskey, 270.
090, but yes.
8 kilometers. Elevation
On 3 meters.
13 meters. One time BMP.
One time BMP grid 117137 type mark
Mark
1016.
1016 grid.
I don't know their friendly
117,
location because I'm not looking at them. fucking 100 meters northwest, egress yours, read back and standby remarks.
100 meters north. Egress discretion. Marked by laser. Say when ready for reback. Ready for remarks.
Alright, Dagger, Type 1 control. IP Whiskey 270, 8 kilometers, 13 meters, 1 times BMP. Blue Force marker 1016, grid 117137.
Cross out my old notes, so I have someone to write my new
Friendlies
notes.
100 meters out. Egress
Just
my
calendar
discretion.
reminder, I know.
Ready for remarks.
Target is danger close to friendlies. Unknown AA in the area. Advise on file.
A firm, Dagger, I'm gonna come in with guns. Guns and rockets.
Dagger copies, guns and rockets.
Want to use the module or?
I got it.
Alright.
Tell him we're about 45 seconds out, and just tell him that we're 45 seconds out.
Alright, should I tell him to tally target?
Yep, tally target, 45 seconds.
Alright, 45 seconds out.
Tell him you tally.
Tally target.
Continue. Blaze.
Yep, we got eyes on the lays. He needs to fucking clear his hot.
Oh, he's unconscious. He's not clearing us out.
Dagger. Alright, be advised, I still tally the target.
Come on, Steven. Say the special word, Steven.
Dagger, this is Thunder on 7-0. Interrogative, am I cleared hot on this target?
Thunder, you're clear hot.
Roger, cleared hot, 30 seconds.
Oh, come on, patience.
Copy, 30 seconds.
Thunder, rifle.
Right now, flash.
How is this gonna work?
Ah, shit. Okay, there we go. Fucking.
Oh, here it comes.
Flash, I'm RPD.
Tell him you're standing by.
Are you still good?
Standing by for media.
Target is catastrophic. Pass complete.
Confirm, 1 times destroyed BMP. Going back into the wheel.
I'm gonna go get him morale real quick.
Sorry guys, I'm alt tabbed here, just give me a second, just getting stuff good to go.
Back green smoke.
Okay. Call them as Thunder and just ask for an update. Just ask for ground
Dagger,
update.
this is Thunder, what's the update?
Thunder Dagger, we have pushed up past Bullseye to the MSR. Troops in danger close contact.
Good copy, Dagger.
Yeah, A-firm diver. It'll just be you and me.
No mortars.
Say again?
No mortars.
Friendly or full mortars?
Up 4.
Life doesn't need to be impossible for them, it just needs to be difficult.
Well, just want to give them more stress. You know, they've only called in 1 striker.
I call in Blue Force 1025, it's that, BTR.
Dagger, this is Thunder on 70.
Thunder, standby.
Dagger, be advised, you can use your green smoke. If you don't have any, let me know. Just tell me where to pop it.
And Blue Force 1025 is possible HVT location.
Okay.
Yeah, Dive, we're gonna have to... We're gonna be cutting this pretty close. Let me just turn that back down, actually. Okay. I don't think I'm actually gonna make it to the end of, calls here, guys, because I'm gonna have to go and teach my recruit class.
Thunder, Dagger, 70.
Bro, this is awful. It's just
Wrong way. Dagger Thunder.
We're on the second floor of the building to your east.
Thunder, Semper Dagger, 70.
Be advised, Blue Force marker 1025 is 1 times BTR.
Copy, 1 times BTR 1025.
Give me grid 117137.
Thunder Dagger, eyes on.
This is Dagger 3-1.
go for command.
You give that fucking BTR fuel?
No, I just tried to
Dagger, this is command.
get
If you want to be
like a
advised, you
point
have smoke
it
available.
to a direction, and it
use
just
it,
turned
use
on
it.
shortly.
You'll be right.
Is there a guy that ran away?
Copy.
Did the up 4 AI run away?
Possibly. I mean, that is Arma for you. I thinned out the town a little just to try and get this done.
Yep.
Dagger 1-1 uniform, this is Dagger 1-3 on 70.
This is Dagger 1-1 uniform, Senate.
1-1 uniform, that BTR that we just called out, go ahead and make sure we get a 5-line call for Warlord on that one.
Copy, 5 line for Warlord on BTR.
No, try to do this.
1-3 out. Yeah,
Yo, take
when
the
he...
Warlord call for me.
6 Dagger on 3-1.
Okay, so respond to the 5-line and you'll be in the aircraft?
6, be advised, call for a 5-line from Warlord on that BTR. Do you want me to take that or somebody else?
A-firm, you take it. 1-1 uniform.
Copy.
Solid copy. A-firm, I'm good.
Be advised, it's also going to be danger close.
Roger that, approved.
on 7-0.
Dagger, go for a Warlord on 7-0.
Dagger. Correction, Warlord. Warlord, target type 3 control. Standby, Warlord.
Roger, standing by.
Warlord, Dagger on 7-0.
There's Warlord, go ahead.
Warlord, Dagger, type 3 control. Nine 900, correction, 90 meters northeast, marked by laser, target 1025, 117137, 1 times BTR, danger close.
I missed his fucking grid.
Disregard, marked by laser.
Solid copy, Dagger. I read back type 3 control, ordnance mine, 90 meters northeast, lays 1025, 117, 137, BTR, danger close clearance.
Warlord, Dagger, correction, no mark, saddle 1025.
Solid copy, 1025. Chance, you in a spot to fucking light that up?
Rifle.
Roger, rifle.
That's a negative. The fuck ordnance was that?
Rifle times 2.
Copy, rifle times 2.
Our be advised, Warlord's gonna have to change position.
Affirm.
Yo, Warlord's in such a dumb position. I mean, the BTR is like a
Yeah,
rope,
but
I can't
they-
hit it.
They should have called it.
The HVT, you might want to request.
Just change airframe to fucking Thunder and call them that Thunder's coming in.
Copy, let's,
Yeah, I'll do the 500 trade.
Dagger, this is Warlord. Be advised, Warlord cannot hit this. Might want to call Thunder.
Hey, Dover, how's it going?
Warlord's, Dagger, copy all, standby. Be advised, Warlord's not going to be able to hit that target.
You want to take the Thunder? I'll get the Phoenix prepped and ready.
Mr. O'Neill, 990s.
They're gonna fucking call a 9 line on that.
Roger, this red and white, or this red and white building over here is not clipped yet.
Yeah, get Phoenix prepped and ready to come in.
In on that
Okay.
remaining armor target.
Copy, will do.
Yeah, it gets closer. I don't know what the fuck was happening with that frickin' Hellfire. Chance, you still here? Can you hear me? God damn it.
Alright, I'm writing up a 9 line right now.
Roger that. Send it as soon as possible.
Phoenix, Dagger 7-0.
Go for Phoenix on 7-0.
Requesting HVT extract, standby for 5-1.
Send that 5-1.
Pickup location, blue 4 marker 1034, grid ref 117138. Destination, airbase. Hazards include some rocks and shrubbery. On the ground, we have light contact with cast in the air. Requesting that you ingress from the north and egress to the east. How copy? Edit last line, we want you to egress and ingress from the east.
Affirm ingress and egress. Alright, pickup grid is Blue Force marker 1034, grid 117138. Destination grid is airbase. Hazards are rocks and shrubbery. Sit rep is as follows. We got light contact, ingress from the east, egress from the east. Standing by for remarks.
Fuck. That's not what I meant.
Remarks as follows. Light contact marked by green smoke.
Affirm, I'll tell you when to pop it.
Affirm. This will be just the HVT, so it'll just be a quick run and go for you.
Thunder Dagger 7-0.
Send it for Thunder on 7-0.
Thunder Bush IP November, standby for 9 line.
Thunder's ready 9 line.
Thunder, this will be a Type 3 control. 133
like
NA. Target elevation 13 meters. 1 times BTR 117137. 10 TAC 25. No mark. 100 meters east. Egress your discretion. Read back and stand by for marks.
I read back type 3 control 133 NA 13 meters BTR 117137 type mark 1025 100 meters east egress mine.
Roger, good read back. Remarks as follows. Requesting 1 times AGM 65 Delta Maverick and call final set 30.
Solid copy.
Bravo, this is Alpha. Head north to our pods in this building here. HVT is with us.
Try and not get this one fucking bugged out like the last one did. Thunder's in now from the east.
1 mic out.
Thunder's 30 seconds.
Roger, clear to engage.
Roger.
Yeah, this is Phoenix on 7-0.
Phoenix is Dagger 7-0.
I see your green smoke, I'm coming in.
Alright, boys and girls, I'm gonna have to cut that there because I have to bounce to other obligations. Thanks for hanging out. I hope that was vaguely interesting at some perspective. I will see everyone back here tomorrow where I will be doing the JTAC thing for Task Force Charlie. So, thanks for hanging out. Hope you guys have a good night.